My sister and I were given the chance to ascend to another realm after our deaths. One of us would go to heaven after death, while the other would descend to hell. The entrance on the left emitted a black light, while the entrance on the right emitted a white light. My sister rushed ahead and stepped into the white light. In her view, pure white is the symbol of heaven, while I could only choose the remaining one, the black radiance. Unexpectedly, upon stepping into it, I arrived in heaven, yet my sister ended up in hell. She suffered torment in hell, while I indulged freely in heaven. Unable to bear it, I brought many delicacies, toys, and more from heaven to my sister. Unexpectedly, my sister brought me the deadly poison of hell. If you hadn't chosen the black light, I wouldn't have to suffer here. You're so selfish, sister, going to heaven alone and letting your sister fall into hell. You truly have a cruel heart. Once again reborn, my sister beat me to it and chose the black light. I smiled, turning to step into that white light. The gate of heaven has opened, the gate of hell has opened. Please choose a gate to another world to enter. One by one, familiar scenes, familiar black and white light. For a moment, my mind went blank. Wasn't I fed a deadly poison from hell by my sister? I clearly remember the poison flowing through every corner of my body, the agony of it shattering my soul. My sister was also stunned, and she immediately snapped back to reality, rushing headlong toward the black light without looking back. As she vanished into the black light, my sister turned back to look at me triumphantly, her eyes brimming with unconcealed joy. Sister, this time it's your turn to go to hell. Now I understand. We have been reborn on the day we chose our fate after death. Watching my sister choose the black light, I sneered inwardly. Going to heaven doesn't necessarily mean it's a good thing. With only one choice left, I stepped into the white light. Welcome to heaven. A man in a suit, wearing a smile, approached the younger sister. He carried a fragrant breeze with him, his movements elegant and gentlemanly. Welcome to heaven. He waved his hand lightly. An endless sea of flowers bloomed in clusters, with pieces of green and white jade stones overlapping to form a path. Occasionally, a gentle breeze swept by, carrying a hint of sweetness. He bowed deeply. Welcome, our most esteemed guest. Me. My sister pointed at herself, unable to believe it. Yes. Most honored guest. The sister looked at this elegant gentleman, her heart melting. She had once imagined what heaven would be like, thinking it would be very beautiful, but she never imagined it would be this stunning. Even the wind was sweet. Being here, she felt completely at ease and joyful. My sister's eyes darted around as a new idea came to her mind. Can I contact my sister? She's on the other side of hell, of course. My most precious guest. My sister received a phone from the man and couldn't wait to call me to show off. Welcome to hell. A ferocious-looking demon has set its sights on me. My first instinct is to flee. The moment I turn around, the demon blocks my path. Good and evil will eventually be repaid. If it hasn't happened yet, the time has not come. The evil spirit paused, a fierce glint flashing in its eyes. But now, the time has come. A roar echoed in my ears, as if countless vengeful spirits were demanding my life. Step onto the scale, for good and evil have their own measure. The demon picked up a scale and grabbed me, stuffing me inside. The balance scale swayed slightly. The demon stroked its non-existent beard. 1 gram of sin, sentenced to 1 minute of foot tickling, to be endured daily. No, my feet were firmly secured, and a little imp picked up a feather and began tickling the soles of my feet. At first, I could still bear it, but then the itching spread from the soles of my feet to my toes, then to the tops of my feet, and finally to my ankles. I wanted to escape, but my feet were firmly held in place. I could only grit my teeth and endure. At that moment, another little imp walked over, holding a phone in its hand. The phone connected, and the voice on the other end was very familiar to me. It was my sister's voice. Sis, heaven is so beautiful. There are flowers everywhere. Even the wind is sweet. You can have anything you want. Unlike hell, which is empty and desolate, the soles of my feet were too itchy, and I couldn't help but let out a groan. Don't. My sister heard my groans and smiled triumphantly. Ah, how pitiful. Sister, you have to endure punishment every day in hell. Sister, I won't disturb you any longer. You just keep suffering, and I should go enjoy my blessings. After hanging up the phone, my sister jumped for joy as if she had won a victory. Sister, I never thought you'd have a day like this. The man in the suit beside her said softly. Our most esteemed guest, we also offer other services here. Would you like to give them a try? Upon hearing this, the younger sister's eyes lit up. Hurry, let me try everything once. I want to play through them all. The man in the suit clapped his hands, and a magnificent shopping mall rose from the ground. Esteemed guest, you may freely choose anything inside this mall. my sister's mouth fell open in amazement. My sister rushed to the mall, walked up to the shelves, her hands trembling. She unscrewed the essence she usually didn't even dare to try and smeared it on her face. She applied it a couple of times, threw it away, grabbed another bottle, applied it again, and threw it away. Foundation, lipstick, eyeshadow, blush. She unscrewed one, applied it a couple of times, threw it away, unscrewed another, applied it a couple of times, threw it away. She hung designer bags from the exclusive section one after another on herself, one around her neck, one over her shoulder, one on each wrist, until all 10 fingers were adorned. She slipped diamond rings onto her fingers in handfuls, filling all 10 fingers, then moved to her thumbs, and when those were full, she clutched the rest in her palms. The same went for gold jewelry, necklaces, bracelets, anklets. She wore them wherever possible, jingling with every step she took. Snacks are torn open and stuffed into the mouth, chewed twice and spat out, the bag tossed behind, then another bag is torn open, stuffed, spat out, and tossed again. A cookie is bitten once and thrown away, a sip of milk. Tea is taken, spat on the ground, a new cup is swapped in, another sip is taken and spat on the ground again. Clothes are picked up without even a glance and thrown behind, coats, dresses, jeans, piling up one by one into a mountain. Shoes are swapped out one pair after another, high heels, sneakers, boots, worn for a few steps and then taken off. The hair was permed 3 times, until it smoked. Nails were painted and removed and painted, back and forth 7 or 8 times, until the nail beds were worn thin. My sister stood amidst the mess on the floor, with over a dozen bags hanging from her, all 10 fingers adorned with diamond rings, a gold chain wrapped around her neck, and her hair frizzy and burnt yellow on top of her head. My sister spun around, the items on her body jingling and clattering. My sister smiled triumphantly. I want to call my sister, in hell, besides enduring punishment, sleeping, and laboring, there is nothing else, because my sin weighed only 1 gram. I was assigned to the easiest place to work, first level of hell. Position, security guard. I guard the security booth, and my responsibility is to watch over the gate of the first level of hell. Although it's called guarding the gate, there's actually no need for supervision. The first level of hell is filled with people of relatively low sinfulness. They leave on their own after serving their punishment. The security at the gates of this level of hell is more symbolic in nature. It's boring here, but it's relaxing. I am content. When I was feeling utterly bored, I received a video call from my sister. The video call connected. Inside, her sister's smug face appeared. Sis, why are you dressed so shabbily? It's so pathetic, and everything around you is so empty and bare. You're really pitiful. She started off with a taunt right away. An old young master. Oh, I forgot that you're in hell, not like me who's in heaven. In the video, she swayed her body. Look at me, isn't this outfit beautiful? Gold, diamonds, I wear whatever I want, and look behind me. Designer bags, high-end cosmetics, all piled up so much that there's no room left. There are so many things I only tried once, and if I wasn't satisfied, I just swapped them out. Sister, do you know how amazing that feels? It's a shame, sister, you're stuck in hell and can't make it to heaven. Seeing my sister in the video, adorned in gold and silver, I twitched the corner of my mouth. I kindly advised, sis, you should just enjoy yourself a bit, don't be extravagant and wasteful, it's not a good habit. My sister pouted and shook her head, signaling that she wasn't listening. Mind your own business. In heaven, I can do whatever I want. You should just stay in hell and reflect on yourself. My sister made a face and hung up the phone directly. A chill spread across my face. Knew she wouldn't listen to me. Now she was just showing off in front of me. Little did she know, everything in this world has a price secretly attached to it. I'm hungry. My sister hung up the phone, spread her hands, leaned back in a chair, and casually tossed all those designer bags on the floor. Clearly, her rich girl syndrome was acting up. The man in the suit raised his hand and snapped his fingers. The shopping mall vanished, replaced by an upscale restaurant. The restaurant doors swung open, and staff filed in, pushing food carts one after another, forming 2 lines that stretched as far as the eye could see. The silver lids on the carts were tightly sealed, with steam seeping through the gaps. White and hazy like mist, the lead staff member stopped and lifted the first lid. It was steak, with black truffle sauce slowly trickling down the meat's grain. The plate was sprinkled with gold leaf flakes, a thin layer that shimmered dazzlingly under the light. The second one was unveiled, revealing a whole roasted suckling pig, its skin crispy and gleaming, a deep jujube red, glistening with oil, with 2 red cherries embedded in its eyes. The third was Buddha jumps over the wall, the mouth of the jar sealed with a layer of lotus leaves, the steam causing the leaves to rise and fall rhythmically, the rich aroma squeezing out from the edges of the leaves, filling the entire venue, one after another: steak, roast duck, lobster, abalone, bird's nest, wagyu beef, sushi, foie gras, truffles, caviar, Chinese cuisine, Western cuisine, Japanese cuisine, French cuisine, all laid out in 2 long rows. The staff stood upright, their eyes fixed on her in unison. The man in the suit bowed slightly, his right hand gracefully tracing an arc. Honored guest, his voice was neither too high nor too low, like the mid-range of a cello. Western cuisine, Chinese cuisine, French cuisine, Japanese cuisine, whatever flies in the sky, runs on the ground, or swims in the water. He straightened up, a smile playing at the corner of his mouth. Whatever you desire, we have it all here. My sister stared at these delicacies in astonishment. She had never seen so many delicacies in her life, and most of them she couldn't even name. Standing there, the aroma rushed straight from her nostrils to the top of her head. Hand over your phone, I want to share this with my good sister. The phone kept ringing, but I didn't answer it. An unexpected guest arrived outside the security office. This unexpected guest wasn't a malevolent spirit or a minor ghost. He looked more like a human. He wore a blue-faced, fanged mask, dressed in a splendid robe, holding a gray-white brush in his right hand and an ancient book in his left, standing there with the demeanor of an ancient scholar. Since he arrived, he had been sizing me up from head to toe without saying a word, only shaking his head frequently. After a long silence, he finally spoke slowly. You shouldn't be here, you should be in heaven. His first words shocked me. Indeed, in my past life, I had gone to heaven, but in this life, I never want to go to heaven again. Judging by his appearance, he is likely a high-level employee of hell. He let out a sigh. Unfortunately, since you've come to hell, you can't go to heaven. Can't go. Who wants to go back? Going to heaven is just another way of going to hell. It's not bad being a security guard here now, nice and steady. Fine, you can stay here and undergo reformation properly. Given your sins, it won't be long before you can be reincarnated. After saying that, he drifted away. Hearing that I could be reincarnated, I was overjoyed, and the corners of my mouth curled up wildly. This was the purpose of my choice to go to hell. In heaven, reincarnation is not so easy, but in hell, as long as you atone for your sins, you can be reincarnated. I wonder how my sister is doing in heaven. I instinctively picked up my phone. My sister sent me a video. In the video, my sister had a table full of delicacies laid out before her. Just take a few bites of each and then throw them away, she mumbled with meat in her mouth. Sister, this heaven is just too blissful. You have so many delicious foods, it's impossible to try them all. Look at those dishes. I bet you've never eaten them in your entire life. After watching the video, I sneered inwardly. Sure enough, it's still the same as always. Not a single thing has changed. I'm really curious to see what my sister will be like when she has to face the consequences. For some people, heaven truly is heaven, but for others, it's even more terrifying than hell. After eating and drinking her fill, my sister lay on a genuine leather sofa, holding a milk tea in her arms. In front of her was a giant high-definition TV, playing her favorite variety show. She bit the straw. Sister must be jealous of me, that's why she's not answering the phone. Who told her to choose heaven in her last life, leaving me all alone in hell? Even the heavens couldn't stand it anymore, letting me be reborn to choose again. This time, it's your sister's turn to enjoy life. You, sister, can just stay in hell and reform yourself properly. She seemed to think of something and suddenly exclaimed, could it be that I'm the protagonist in a novel? This kind of experience is just too similar. I've even thought of a title for the novel, Reborn. I want to go to heaven. She couldn't help but laugh out loud. The man in a suit standing nearby bent down and asked softly, distinguished guest, we also offer massage services here. Would you be interested? Upon hearing about the massage service, my sister's eyes lit up. After shopping at the mall all afternoon, she was indeed a bit tired. Yes, of course I would. The man in the suit gently placed his hand on the younger sister's shoulder, applying just the right amount of pressure with a skilled and delicate touch. After the massage, the younger sister felt all her fatigue melt away in that moment. Heaven is just too amazing. I have to call my sister. The video call connected. Sis, how can you be gnawing on bread? That's so pathetic. How can you even put something like that in your mouth? I bit into the bread. It didn't taste great and was a bit on the hard side, but at least it was provided for free. I was already quite satisfied just to have something to eat. Seeing me remain silent, my sister felt even more smug inside. Sister, I really feel for you, suffering punishment every day, eating poorly, sleeping poorly, how stifling it must be in hell, not like your little sister here, lounging on the sofa, TV on, getting a shoulder massage. Couldn't be more comfortable. By the way, sister, seeing you in such a miserable state, I can't bear it. Should I bring you some snacks, toys, or something? My sister's voice carried a hint of sarcasm. No need, I replied coldly. You're really stubborn, sis, don't come begging me later. After hanging up the phone, her sister's face turned gloomy. Big sister's jealousy is just too strong. The day quickly came to an end. I returned to my small room, which was very simple, containing only a wooden plank bed. Lying on the bed, the events of the hellish day flashed through my mind like a kaleidoscope. Fortunately, I had not committed any evil deeds in my previous life, so my sins were not severe, resulting in a lighter punishment. The job of a security guard was also quite simple, although it was boring. At least it didn't require much physical labor. Just a little longer and I can be reborn again. Thinking of this, my mood instantly improved. However, the thought of what will happen tomorrow makes me unable to hold back a smile. My sister might completely break down as soon as she wakes up tomorrow. I wonder if she can handle it. The next day, my sister woke up in the soft, comfortable bed, with the sunlight streaming in from outside, creating a beautiful scene. She stretched lazily. So comfortable. Time to get up. Time to get up. Another wonderful day is about to begin. What should I do today? Let me think. My sister rested her chin on her hand, lost in thought. By the way, I want to go skiing. I've never skied in this lifetime. A knock sounded at the door. My sister opened the door. Outside the door stood the gentleman in a suit from yesterday, looking handsome and gentle. Honored guest, did you rest well last night? He smiled, like a warm ray of sunshine. The younger sister curled the corner of her mouth. Excellent, couldn't be better, then I can rest assured. The man in the suit pulled out a long bill, so long that it dragged on the ground. The younger sister stared at the bills, a look of confusion in her eyes. What is this? She tried to ask. The man in the suit said with a smile, these are your consumption bills from yesterday. Upon hearing this, the younger sister covered her mouth in surprise. What, do we have to pay for those things? The man in the suit shook his head. In heaven, everything is free. Only then did the younger sister let out a sigh of relief. She had no money. If she had to pay, she would probably go crazy thinking about the mountain of stuff from yesterday. No payment is required. But morality is. The sister's heart, which had just settled, was once again lifted. What is morality? Do I even have such a thing? The man in the suit pulled out a scale. Honored guest, your arrival in heaven means you already have morality in your heart. He paused for a moment. However, everyone's morality varies to some extent, which is normal. The more good deeds you did in life, the more morality you will have after death. My sister was stunned, never expecting that heaven would require money, except this money was morality. As for how much morality she had, she wasn't sure. She thought about what good deeds she had done in her life, but it seemed she couldn't recall any. As the scale began to gradually grow larger, the man in the suit bowed and extended an invitation. Please, honored guest. With a nervous heart, the younger sister stepped forward. The numbers on the scale began to change. 0 jumps to 1. The man in the suit widened his eyes at the number on the scale. Finding it hard to accept mentally for a moment, the younger sister looked at his expression and felt somewhat uneasy. What's wrong with my morality? Is it a lot? The younger sister asked quietly. The man in the suit kept twisting and changing his expression until it finally became expressionless. His voice gradually grew cold. Your morality is only 1 gram. How did you manage to sneak into heaven? Upon hearing that her morality was only 1 gram, her world collapsed. Without even thinking, she knew that 1 gram was pitifully small. Her anxious heart finally gave up. She wiped away the non-existent tears at the corner of her eye, pretending to be pitiful as she said, I don't know either. The man in the suit snorted coldly and raised the long bill. You only have 1 gram of morality, but do you know how much morality you spent yesterday? How much? The younger sister's voice began to tremble. A whole ton of morality. How could there possibly be so much? All right, let me list them one by one for you. A branded bag from the mall is 1 kilogram of morality. A gold necklace is 1 kilogram of morality. A diamond ring is 1 kilogram of morality, plus what you eat and drink, what you wear and where you live, along with what you waste, and finally, my hard-earned day's worth of tour guide fee. That adds up to a whole ton of morality. Ah, that much. How am I supposed to repay it? My sister was so anxious she started crying. standing there sobbing. How will you repay it? Work it off. You're not allowed to reincarnate until it's all paid back. The man in the suit spoke coldly. And with a snap of his fingers, the surroundings began to change. It stinks. My sister couldn't help but pinch her nose. She looked around. This was a restroom, the man in the suit said coldly. First, clean this place up. The toilet is clogged, so unclog it while you're at it. Once you're done, you'll earn some morality points. You need to keep working until you've repaid all your morality debt. What a waste of my time. After saying that, the man in the suit turned and disappeared, holding her nose with one hand and a brush in the other. The younger sister reluctantly began scrubbing the toilet. After scrubbing for a while, her arm grew sore, and she stopped to catch her breath. Suddenly, a red light flashed. Please continue working. Please continue working. A loud, piercing mechanical synthesized voice came from overhead. The younger sister cursed inwardly, reluctantly picking up the brush again and continuing to scrub. Finally, she let out a long sigh of relief. The toilet had been cleaned spotlessly. The toilet is clogged. Please unclog it. The mechanical synthesized voice sounded again. My sister sighed, picked up the toilet plunger, and started plunging frantically. She was so exhausted that she was drenched in sweat, and several times she wanted to just give up. In the end, she imagined the toilet as my face, which gave her renewed energy, and she plunged away with all her might. Finally, the toilet is unclogged. She collapsed on the floor, exhausted, not even wanting to move a finger. Failed inspection. Please clean again. At this moment, the younger sister completely broke down. Tears fell drop by drop, but she dared not stop. That mechanical synthesized voice was still echoing overhead, urging her on like a death sentence. She could only wipe away her tears, grit her teeth, and pick up the brush again, scrubbing as she cried. She didn't know how much time had passed when the voice finally changed its words. Congratulations on gaining 1 gram of morality. What? Only 1 gram? My sister suddenly threw the brush in her hand to the ground. She had worked herself to the bone, scrubbing for so long, clearing for so long, going through the motions over and over again, and only earned 1 gram of morality. How long would it take her to repay 1 ton of morality? Warning, warning, damaging cleaning tools results in a fine of 2 grams of morality. My sister looked down. The brush she had thrown to the ground had its handle broken, snapped into 2 pieces. She froze for a second, and tears suddenly welled up in her eyes. Her legs gave way, and she plopped down on the ground, wailing loudly. Her sister's eyes darted around, and she pulled out her phone. The call had already been connected. Sis, I miss you. Hearing these words, I could roughly guess my sister's purpose. Most likely, she owed a huge moral debt. In my previous life, I had suffered because of this. Back then, I knew nothing and honestly worked for others for a long time, toiling away just to repay the debt. After paying it off, I had a little morality left, which I couldn't bear to spend on myself, so I used it all to buy delicious food and toys for my sister. I joyfully presented them to her, only to be met with the hellish poison she brought upon me. Thinking of this, the bit of pity in my heart dissipated. Just say what you need to say quickly. I still have to go receive my punishment later. Sister, I can't bear to see you suffering in hell. My sister's voice sounded full of heartache. You're so pitiful. How about I go to hell in your place, and you come to heaven to enjoy happiness? Sister doesn't have that kind of luck. You just enjoy it to the fullest, little sister. I sneered and decisively hung up the phone. My sister looked at the disconnected phone, her face clouded with gloom. The surrounding scene began to change. The mechanical synthesized voice sounded again. Please wash the dishes. This is a kitchen, with the sink piled high with dishes stained with grease. My sister gritted her teeth, rolled up her sleeves, and began her dishwashing task. After she was exhausted to the point of being like a dog, the mechanical synthesized voice sounded once again. Please sweep the street. A street covered with fallen leaves and trash appears. The younger sister, holding a broom, nearly falls to the ground. Night fell. The younger sister finally gets to rest. She received a meal exclusively for her as an employee. She eagerly opened the packaging bag. Inside was a moldy biscuit, a chicken carcass with only bones left, half a can of herring, and a half-empty bottle of flat cola. These were either moldy or leftovers from someone else's meal. She plopped down on the ground and burst into loud sobs. Now she was so tired, so thirsty, and so hungry, but she couldn't bring herself to eat any of this. I don't want to spend another day living like this. My sister picked up her phone and called me. The video call connected. Big sister, have you eaten? I mumbled through a mouthful of bread. I'm eating now. Have you eaten yet? my younger sister picked up the half-empty bottle of cola and the chicken bones, saying, "Sis, I finished it all. Fried chicken with cola is just too satisfying." "That's good." I casually brushed it off. "Sis, why don't you come to heaven? Eating bread every day isn't nutritious. Stay in heaven for a few days, and then I'll switch back with you. I really can't bear to see you alone in hell." My sister pretended to be sincere. "If I go to heaven, I doubt you'd ever come back." Looking at my sister's innocent face on the phone, a chill ran through my heart. In my past life, I had believed her lies just like this, and what was the result? She poisoned me directly with a deadly toxin. How could that be? Isn't heaven a good place? My sister tilted her head, her tone tinged with a hint of grievance, as if I had wronged her. I stared into her eyes and said word by word, "Heaven is good, but having too many moral debts is not." My sister's expression changed instantly. She widened her eyes, and the mask of feigned innocence finally cracked. "What, you actually know about morality?" The surprise in her voice wasn't feigned. She probably thought I was still like in my past life, knowing nothing, understanding nothing, obediently being led by the nose. "Of course I know," I said coldly, watching her as the long-suppressed emotions finally surged within me. "I also know it was you who poisoned me." Those words were like a knife, piercing straight through all of my sister's pretenses. Her face instantly paled, her lips trembled slightly, and her eyes first showed shock, then panic, and finally settled into an expression I knew all too well, resentment. "Sister, have you also been reborn?" Her voice sharpened, tinged with a hint of anger. "You knew everything about heaven but didn't tell me. How cruel of you, heartless." Hearing those words from her lips, I could only find it laughable. I clenched my fists, my nails digging into my palms. The slight pain only made me more clear-headed. "I warned you," I said calmly, looking into her eyes. "You just didn't listen." Yes, I had warned her. How many times had I hinted at it before? When had she ever taken it to heart? She only thought I was annoying, that I was jealous of her. "Now you say I'm heartless, but no one is more heartless than her." I hung up the phone directly. After dozens of days, it was finally my turn to be reborn as a human. I glanced back at the hell behind me. These past few days had been relatively peaceful. I took a deep breath, turned around, and plunged headfirst into the cycle of reincarnation. That day, my sister called me as usual. She would call at this time every day, always wanting to mock me a few words. It was her only form of entertainment. The phone rang over and over, but no one answered. She began to panic inside. Only after asking around did she learn that I had already completed my punishment and had been reincarnated as a human. My sister stood frozen in place, her face gradually twisting with emotion. Why does my sister get to be reborn as a human, while I have to keep suffering here? If I had chosen to go to hell back then, it would be me starting a new life as a human now. The more she thought about it, the more resentful she became. She hated her sister for not telling her the truth, hated herself for making the wrong choice back then, and hated this wretched place for draining her day after day. She had to escape. She couldn't stay here any longer, not even for one more day. One night, while no one was paying attention, the younger sister quietly slipped to the entrance of the reincarnation passage. The 6 paths of reincarnation slowly rotated before her. She tried each path one by one, but the first 5 rejected her. The light barriers were as hard as walls, impossible to break through. "There's only one left." Without hesitation, my sister gritted her teeth and, filled with hatred, plunged headfirst into it. Beside the wheel of reincarnation, the man wearing the green-faced, fanged mask shook his head, watching her figure disappear into the passage, and sighed softly. "Why choose to be a beast when you could have been a good person?" The aura emanating from that passage was turbid, heavy, and foul, precisely the path of beasts. Epilogue. Perhaps it was a coincidence, or perhaps it was fate that brought my sister and me to be reborn into the same family. I was reincarnated earlier, and by the time my sister arrived, I was already 7 or 8 years old. It's summer now, the season when mosquitoes are rampant. A newly hatched mosquito sees me and flies toward me with a biting intent. I slap it dead with a backhand. Young voice rings out, "Want to suck my blood?" Not a chance. After hearing the first story above, what are your thoughts? Feel free to share your opinions in the comments section. Next, there is another similar story. Let's continue to see. When my son said again that he wanted his dad to get him a better mom, I didn't, as I usually would, remind my husband that he should correct him. I stood outside the car, watching them enthusiastically discuss what kind of eyes, what kind of mouth, and even the length and color of hair they wanted. Only then did the two of them realize I hadn't gotten into the car. Husband frowned, We're in a hurry to get to the hospital. Mom's had a stroke and needs someone with her. Why are you dawdling? The son pouted. Mom can't do anything right. Their disdainful looks were exactly the same. I suddenly felt completely resigned. Jiang Mingyuan, let's get a divorce, starting today. The bad mother of your son is offline, your family's free nanny is off duty, or useless wife has officially been laid off. I turned and walked away. He immediately got angry. It's just a joke from the kid. Why are you losing it? Mom is still waiting in the hospital. Then let her wait. I didn't even turn my head. It's not that I'm crazy. It seems like I've been reborn. Last night, my mother-in-law suddenly had a stroke. My husband said he was on a business trip and couldn't make it back in time. I took her to the hospital alone. From the ICU rescue to being sent back to the ward, I was drenched in sweat from exhaustion. Not a moment could I close my eyes. It wasn't until noon when the nurse said my pale face was frightening and specially found a folding chair for me that I managed to take a nap. That nap led me into a terrifying nightmare. Waking up, I remembered that the parent-teacher meeting at Dongdong's kindergarten was in the afternoon last night. When I asked my sister to take Dongdong away, the little guy seemed a bit scared. I need to comfort him properly when we meet. I splashed water on my face in a hurry, not even having time to change clothes before rushing to the kindergarten. The parent-teacher meeting dragged on, with many parents taking turns to share their various experiences, but all I wanted to do was sleep. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, the meeting ended. I forced myself to crouch down, reaching out to take Dongdong's hand. He jerked his hand away abruptly, pouting and taking 2 steps back. Mommy, next time, can Daddy come instead? I was taken aback. What's wrong, Dongdong? He looked down at his own shoe tips, his voice tinged with annoyance. Meow Meow's mom is a doctor, wearing a white lab coat. Shin's mom is a teacher, and her dresses are so beautiful. As soon as he finished speaking, his eyes turned red, as if he had suffered a great injustice. At that moment, my husband's car just slid up to the door. He saw Dongdong's expression and chuckled. Oh, what's wrong with my precious son? Who upset you? It's all because of Mom. Dongdong kicked a pebble. Other moms are both beautiful and capable, but my mom only knows how to cook, and she dresses so ugly. My throat tightened. I did spend a lot of time cooking for him. He was born prematurely and has had a weak spleen and stomach since birth. I took specialized nutrition courses just for him. Studied recipes and medicinal cuisine repeatedly, just to help him improve a little. Who would have thought this would become a sore point? My husband laughed heartily and casually ruffled Dongdong's hair. That's just how your mom is. All right, next time your dad comes, I promise to make you look good. Don't be upset. Dongdong immediately threw himself into his arms, glancing at me with a cold stare. Dad is still the best. No wonder you never take Mom out to eat. My husband's expression stiffened for a moment, quickly covering it up with a pat on the head. Dongdong muttered to me again. Next time, when you come to pick me up, stand behind that big tree. Don't wait for me at the kindergarten gate, otherwise, everyone will know you're my mom. He paused, then suddenly looked up at his father and said, Dad, can't you get me a better mom? What kind of mom does my little one want? His father replied, Dad will get you one. Let's talk in the car. I want that kind of beautiful auntie who lets me eat fries and ice cream whenever I want, and watch Ultraman as much as I like. The two of them laughed and joked, completely ignoring my existence. I stood there, shivering all over. These words, this scene, were exactly the same as the dream I had at noon. In my dream, I worked a lifetime, cared for my mother-in-law with a stroke for 20 years. Every day, I got up at 5 to prepare meals for the whole family. By 10 at night, when everyone else had gone to bed, I tidied up the house and mopped the floors. Dongdong accompanied him from elementary school to studying abroad, and later raised his daughter. Finally, I fainted at the entrance of the market and hit my head on the bluestone. While passers-by sent me to the hospital, my husband was helping his young assistant pick out a gift, and my son was toasting his superiors at a banquet. These things were all more important than the me being resuscitated in the hospital. When they finished their important tasks and rushed to the hospital, my surgery was already over, and I was under observation in the ICU. The doctor said that the blood clot in my brain hadn't been completely drained and that I might become a vegetable. The doctor was explaining the worst-case scenario. They exchanged a glance and said, Give up on resuscitation, let nature take its course. The doctor exclaimed in surprise, Isn't it too early to give up? We don't want her to suffer anymore. They spoke almost in unison. They signed the refusal of active treatment application at the funeral. Everyone sighed. She just wasn't destined to enjoy a life of ease. Her husband earns well, and her son is successful. She never knew the hardship of earning money in her lifetime and died so young. Isn't it just that I don't have the fortune to enjoy it? I froze in place. It's too real. What are you spacing out for? My husband suddenly called out. Get in the car quickly. Blocking the road like this is ridiculous. He impatiently urged me on. I didn't move, still lost in thought. If it were truly a dream, why were his and Dongdong's conversations exactly the same as in the dream? Could it be because they had had many such conversations between them? Do I really care that much, to the point of dreaming about it? I couldn't be sure. By this time, Dongdong was getting impatient too. He shouted at me, go buy that model for me, and I'll let you sit in the back with me. I followed his finger and my gaze landed on the window of a children's store by the roadside. A promotional poster was pasted there, helicopter model 68 yuan. For a moment, my mind went blank. In the dream, after Dongdong's tantrum, he had also demanded that I buy this model to pacify him, also for 68 yuan. I rushed into the store. Boss, when did this promotion start? The boss enthusiastically replied, today. It was 98 yuan before. The promotional poster was just changed this morning. I'm not lying to you. I was freezing all over. The poster was just put up today. There's no way I could have dreamed about it beforehand, unless I had experienced it before. That would mean I wasn't dreaming. I am reborn. A chill swept through my entire body in an instant. Are you really angry? My husband frowned. It's all just something to say to pacify a child. Can't you take it as lightly as a child would? I looked at him as if he were a stranger. He lost his patience. How old are you? Getting upset over a couple of words. Get in the car now. Dongdong was just like him. Hey, I told you, go buy me that plane, or I'm not drinking milk tonight. He called me. Hey, my already freezing heart felt as if it had been stabbed again. I remembered when I was in the hospital being resuscitated. He only arrived close to midnight, the nurse complained, saying that with a patient in such a critical condition, why did the family arrive so late? He said indifferently, I'm not a doctor, so what can I do by coming? Isn't it right to leave professional matters to professionals? When the doctor asked him to sign the surgery consent form for me, he refused without hesitation. The father and son were discussing the matter there. My mother doesn't have medical insurance, and ICU costs 10,000 yuan a day, all out of pocket. Even if she becomes a vegetable, we'd still need to hire a caregiver, and it would be a hassle. Even if she wakes up, it won't be of much use. Together, they found the doctor and said they didn't want me to suffer, so they decided to stop the treatment. I suddenly remembered him at 3 years old, holding half a piece of candy and insisting on stuffing it into my mouth. But now the indifference on his face towards me was exactly the same as it would be 20 years later outside the ICU. I held back my tears and said, I'm not your mother. You find someone you like to be your mother. Dongdong happily shouted, great, I don't have a bad mother anymore. Dad, hurry up and take me to see the pretty aunt from last time. Jiang Mingyuan quickly covered his mouth. I almost burst out laughing. So he's already been taking Dongdong to meet other women, and I was still foolishly serving their whole family, even carrying his mother's excrement and urine for a whole night. Jiang Mingyuan said guiltily, don't listen to the child's nonsense. Last time, I ran into a colleague and bought some snacks for him. He just remembered that. I sneered. That was the time you took him out to play for half a day, and he came back with diarrhea, wasn't it? That beautiful aunt doesn't know, and you don't know either, that he can't eat cold things. He took Dongdong out for just an afternoon, and it landed him in the hospital for a whole week. Jiang Mingyuan retorted, even if I didn't let him eat it, would he listen? Yes, he's always the open-minded, understanding father who goes along with his child. I am the bad mom who always spoils the fun. Forget it, I don't want either of them anyway, so whatever they think. Jiang Mingyuan, let's get a divorce. My husband's face fell. That's enough, don't drag it out. Divorce, divorce, do you think I'm scared of your divorce? Without me, what else can you do? Look at yourself now. Only I can tolerate you. You try another man. I laughed in disbelief. It turns out that all these years of my wholehearted devotion were worthless in their eyes. Fine, Jiang Mingyuan, it's just a matter of changing men. Let's give it a try. Jiang Mingyuan's face turned green. I don't have time to wait here while you make a fool of yourself. I have a business engagement tonight, and you still need to hurry over to Mom's. I looked at my husband's face and said coldly, I said I want a divorce, and it seems you don't understand. Then let me put it another way. Your free nanny quit. Don't push your luck. If you don't get in the car, go to the hospital yourself. I don't have time for your nonsense. If you don't take good care of my mother today, we're getting a divorce tomorrow. All right. See you at the Civil Affairs Bureau tomorrow. I turned and walked away. Behind him, Dongdong suddenly asked, Mom's not going to the hospital. Does that mean Dad really wants a divorce? Jiang Mingyuan's confident voice. Your mom will definitely go, with your grandma's temper. Does your mom dare not to go? Humph. If she doesn't go, I'll never eat the food she makes again, and I won't let her pick me up either. Hee hee. Both of them are masters at squeezing me dry. My husband stomped on the gas pedal. The car sped away beside me. I forced myself to watch as it turned a corner and disappeared. Suddenly, everything blurred before my eyes. Scorching tears surged out without warning. Dong dong, these are the last tears Mom will shed for you. I wanted to think carefully about my next steps, so I went to a hotel and booked a room. I thought that cutting ties with the person I once loved the most would be unbearably painful, but I was too exhausted. Before I could even grieve, I fell asleep. In the middle of the night, my phone suddenly started ringing non-stop. I reflexively sat up in bed and answered the phone. The nurse's urgent voice. Is this Guo Shilon's family? Please come to the hospital as soon as possible. I wasn't fully awake yet, and instinctively said, I'm coming. The moment my foot touched the ground, I suddenly woke up. Excuse me, could you please contact the patient's son, Jiang Mingyuan? I've also left his phone number. You're referring to Mr. Jiang Mingyuan, correct? He mentioned that he's not in the area and really can't make it over. Let's get in touch with you. He said you'd handle it. You family members are really going too far. Don't you know what condition the patient is in? How could you leave her alone in the hospital? She's now covered in feces and urine all over the bed, and the other patients in the ward are protesting. The nurse's tone was tinged with exasperation. I gripped my phone, my fingertips turning white. It was the same in my previous life. Every time my mother-in-law needed something, Jiang Mingyuan was always too busy to go, but I, on the other hand, was always expected to be there immediately, tending to her every need, even the most unpleasant ones. Remember once, when she was severely constipated, I wore gloves and endured the disgust, helping her out bit by bit. Yet, she turned around and complained to visiting relatives. My daughter-in-law is so clumsy, she hurts me so much, she must be disgusted by me, an old woman, and is deliberately using a lot of force. What a mean-spirited person. Jiang Mingyuan chimed in, saying that Dongdong's mom is just at that level, so Mom, don't bother arguing with her. Jiang Mingyuan's assistant, Lin Qingyin, came in carrying a fruit basket, and her face immediately broke into a smile like blooming chrysanthemums. Lin Qingyin brought her a cup of water, and she immediately thanked her repeatedly. I took care of her day and night, not missing a single kind word, yet never hearing a thank you. In my previous life, out of consideration for Jiang Mingyuan and Dongdong, I didn't bother to count, thinking of an old person, lying in bed every day. Quite pitiful. Now that I think about it, where was her pity? It's me who should be pitied. She already knew back then that Lin Qingyin was Jiang Mingyuan's mistress. She made me serve her like a beast of burden while helping Jiang Mingyuan hide the affair, and every day she would badmouth me in front of Dongdong, saying this was wrong and that was no good. I treated her with respect as an elder, but she treated me like a fool to be taken advantage of. The more I thought about it, the angrier I became. If I go to the hospital again, I'd have to call myself shameless. I took a deep breath to calm the raging anger in my chest. I'm sorry, nurse. I'm not a family member either. I was their family's nanny, but I've already resigned. Please contact Mr. Jiang Mingyuan again, his mother. Let him take responsibility for it himself. The nurse seemed completely confused. In the background noise, Jiang Mingyuan's mother was scolding. My son supports you. How dare you not come over? Get over here right now. Even with her mouth crooked and her eyes askew, she still exuded such commanding presence, but her speech was slurred, and the word, mother, came out sounding like, Wolf. Get over here right now, Wolf. It's quite fitting. Actually, I laughed out loud. The nurse was clearly using speakerphone. I heard her angrily say, how dare you laugh, you ill-mannered wretch. Nurse, this is my daughter-in-law, and she has to come, the nurse said helplessly. If she doesn't come, can I tie her up and bring her here? You'd better hurry up and contact your son. I smiled and said, let me give you a friendly piece of advice. Getting angry can easily lead to sudden death, you little bitch. I hung up the phone without hesitation. Let your good eldest son and good third son take good care of you. Hung up the phone. Peace at last. I lay on the bed. How long has it been since I felt this relaxed and free? I think of others every day and have long forgotten about myself. An unprecedented sense of exhilaration crept up the spine. Every limb and bone felt at ease. It was impossible to continue with Jiang Mingyuan. He certainly didn't want a divorce, because he wasn't yet confident that he could make Lin Qingyin marry him. At the same time, He also needed someone to manage the household and take care of the elderly and children. What he most hoped for was harmony both inside and outside. Men who desire to enjoy the blessings of multiple wives truly span across all eras. I don't want to get entangled with him anymore. Although in his previous life he later earned a 7-figure salary, now he's just a department manager. Our family's wealth is still limited. No matter how hard I try, it's only an extra 10 or 20,000 compared to my life. It really doesn't amount to much. I don't want the house anymore. It feels disgusting. Then just take the savings. But that disgusting man will certainly not let it go as easily as I wish. I have to catch him in the act. Just as I was thinking this, Jiang Mingyuan called. I didn't really want to answer. He must be asking why I didn't go to the hospital. Then he spewed a bunch of nonsense to pua me, but I still picked up, because I suddenly wanted to hear the sound of him losing his composure myself. As soon as the call connected, Jiang Mingyuan's voice, suppressing his anger, immediately came crashing through. Su Manyun, you've grown some guts. Would you dare leave my mother alone in the hospital? And what nonsense are you spouting to the nurses? I chuckled. Oh, so you still remember she's your mother. If you can leave your mother in the hospital, why can't I? His voice suddenly rose. Are you out of your mind? I'm out here earning money to support you, and you can't even take care of my mother. Hey, you've got it all wrong. You're not supporting me. I'm a full-time, 24-hour on-duty nanny. You get 4,000 yuan a month for household expenses. Go to the market and see if you can still hire a live-in nanny for 4,000 yuan. No, that 4,000 yuan is all spent on you. You need to get this straight. It's not you supporting me, it's me supporting you. How dare you, taking advantage of someone and feeling superior about it. Now I can't even stop you from taking advantage. Are you so shameless because it runs in your mother's genes? Jiang Mingyuan exploded in anger. I don't care where you are or what kind of madness you're spouting right now. Get your ass to the hospital immediately. If anything happens to my mom, I'll never let it go with you. That really made me laugh in anger. Jiang Mingyuan, want to settle things with me? Dream on. I'm done with you long ago. I've said it 1,000 times. Divorce, divorce. Can't you understand plain speech? Your mother, you take care of her yourself. He was choked with anger. He had never seen me like this before. In my previous life, I was gentle and magnanimous, always enduring hardships without complaint, never showing a hint of sharpness. Now I understand, kindness without an edge is just handing others a knife to hurt oneself. From the other end of the phone came his heavy breathing, followed by a cold laugh, suppressing his anger. Fine, Su Manyun, you're really something. Are you leaving? You won't take Dong Dong with you. As expected, he's using Dong Dong to control me. He knows Dong Dong is my weakness. He knew how much I had given for Dong Dong. Dong Dong was frail, so I studied medicinal cuisine. Dong Dong had allergies, so I delved into pharmacology. Dong Dong often ran a fever, and to minimize the harm of fever reducers to his body, I could stay up all night, wiping his body over and over, using physical methods to reduce his fever. I used to have a very good job, but when Jiang Mingyuan suggested I quit, I didn't hesitate for a moment. At the time, my boss tried to persuade me, saying, Manyun, you're a university graduate, and your designs are full of inspiration. Completely giving up your career to return to family life, aren't you afraid of someday regretting it? Back then, all I could think of was Dong Dong pitifully curled up in his small bed, sick, so I said I didn't regret it. But today, I also ask myself, was it worth it? The child I gave my all to, abandoning my life so decisively, without a moment's hesitation or reluctance. Let's end this mother-son bond. That's fine, no more weaknesses. I pondered without speaking, and Jiang Mingyuan assumed I was afraid, his arrogance flaring up again. With what you've become, without me, you'd be left to starve. The house is mine. Dong Dong stays with me. You can leave by yourself. I want to see how long you can last. I said, if you want to take Dong Dong, I won't fight you for him. As for how long I can last, you don't need to worry about that. You, on the other hand, are just a leech sucking my blood. I'll definitely last longer without you than with you. Fine, stubborn as a dead duck, don't regret it. Whoever regrets is a bastard. Meet at the Civil Affairs Bureau entrance at 10 tomorrow morning. Whoever doesn't show up will get hit by a car on the way out. Jiang Mingyuan roared with clenched teeth. I hung up the phone with a snap. I felt absolutely fantastic. This call was totally worth it. Not only did it infuriate him to the point of near death, but it also conveniently resolved the matter of the divorce. I glanced at the time. It was already past 4. I was no longer sleepy. I decided to get up and calculate the family assets. The house can be given up, but the savings must all be kept. Of course, I can't give up the house right from the start. After all, if you want to break the windows, you have to first say you want to tear down the house. It was only half a year later that Jiang Mingyuan was promoted to vice president. I can't wait half a year, no, even half a year later. I wouldn't let him rise to vice president again. Then there's no need to wait at all. I listed them one by one. At that moment, my phone rang again. It startled me, suddenly breaking the silence around me. I thought it was Jiang Mingyuan again, looking for a scolding, but when I checked, it was his mother's number. I picked up the phone slowly, not saying a word. Her voice, slurred yet furious, came through the line. Su Manyun, you heartless wretch, where on earth have you been? It turned out that the caregiver had hurt her. It seems Jiang Mingyuan still doesn't have time, but at least he's willing to spend money on a caregiver now. A slight improvement from the previous life. In my previous life, he even saved on nursing fees, claiming that no caregiver could be as meticulous as a family member, leaving everything to me to handle. I turned on the speakerphone, placed the phone by my pillow, and comfortably lay down before speaking slowly. What you're saying now, isn't your son filial? He's arranged for a professional caregiver for you, which is far better than relying on me, this clumsy one. Just enjoy the professional service. You. She was so angry she was gasping for breath, but after all, she was an old fox. She sensed something off in my tone and softened again. How could the nurse be as thoughtful as you? You're my daughter-in-law, and it's easier to talk when we have feelings for each other. If you hadn't mentioned feelings, I wouldn't be so angry. As soon as you bring it up, I get furious. In my previous life, when they were ill, I was the one who took care of them all by myself. They turned negative, and I got a fever, almost 40 degrees, but no one offered to help me. In the middle of the night, she still made me fetch water for her, saying she couldn't do without me. The next day, I tested positive. She immediately had Jiang Mingyuan send me away, saying not to infect the old and young at home. This feeling is really deep, I said with a smile. Since you've admitted we have feelings, then don't keep me from sleeping. Poor sleep affects both health and beauty. How can I live if I end up like you, half paralyzed and covered in filth? Woo, she let out an angry howl, determined, if you don't come over, I'll have Mingyuan divorce you. Divorce me? I laughed out loud. What era are we in now? Divorce is the term you're looking for. Don't worry, tomorrow morning, no, today morning, as soon as the Civil Affairs Bureau opens, I'll go with your precious son to handle the paperwork. Thankfully, at this time, there was no mandatory cooling-off period for divorces. Impossible. Would you really leave my son? How about I come by tomorrow and put the big red certificate right in front of you? Will that make you happy? But I advise you not to get too excited. If another blood vessel bursts, the consequences could be unpredictable. You cursed me, you wicked woman. Ah. On the other end of the phone, the sound of her knocking over objects in her agitation could be heard, along with the nurse's scolding. Don't move around. If you keep moving, I won't take care of you either. Do you still think I'm too rough? I've been in this profession for 20 years, and I've never met anyone as difficult to care for as you. I didn't move. She clearly softened. When I treated her well, she was as fierce as Empress Dowager Cixi, but when someone stood up to her, she turned into a spineless coward. It seems she enjoys playing the role of a grandchild. I hung up the phone decisively. This mother and son are both quite particular. In the middle of the night, they both took turns letting me vent my anger. I must give them a grand gift no matter what. 2 phone calls completely ignited my fighting spirit. It was already 5 o'clock when Jiang Mingyuan called me. He clearly didn't know I wasn't at home. That means he didn't go home either. Jiang Mingyuan hired a caregiver for his mother, indicating that he really was tied up tonight. What kind of work could keep someone so busy until 4 or 5 in the morning? It seems the only explanation is selling one's body. Recalling his past life, he had been entangled with his little assistant for years. Today, Dong Dong blurted out, "Pretty auntie, Jiang Mingyuan must have gone to a hotel with his little assistant." I immediately checked the account records. As expected, Jiang Mingyuan booked a 5-star Hilton hotel. It was only 3 kilometers from home and 5 kilometers from the hospital. His biological mother lay in the hospital. He sent his humble wife to take care of his mother. He spent a delightful night here with another woman. This is quite a good piece of evidence I've found. Withdrawing all the savings is only right. As for the house, though it's disgusting to live in, it can still be sold. You can also give me a discount. There are too many choices. I found that since I awakened, even heaven is helping me. I put on my coat and left the hotel. Take a taxi straight to the Hilton Hotel. All the way, I was thinking, Lin Qingyin just graduated a year ago, young and beautiful, talented, and from a good family. Her father is a civil servant with a bit of power, And her mother is a teacher. Jiang Mingyuan is 1 meter 85 tall and not bad looking either. At this time, rumors of his promotion to vice president were already circulating, and his future looked bright. Jiang Mingyuan had plenty of ways to pursue someone he liked. It wasn't surprising that he took the initiative to pursue Lin Qingyin, and their affair followed naturally. I had originally planned to let her off the hook. Jiang Mingyuan is nothing but a scumbag, and I don't care about him anymore. I'll just take the money and leave. But then I thought of my past life, how she sowed discord between me and Dong Dong, and how she hindered Jiang Mingyuan from saving me. How could I let her off the hook? We soon arrived at the hotel. Upon reaching the hotel, I rushed straight to the front desk. Anxiously, I said, "My husband has suddenly had an asthma attack, and I need to deliver his medication." I took out my ID card and electronic household register, and the front desk checked them. She didn't dare to delay and quickly told me the room number. Isn't it true that every woman with a cheating husband is a Sherlock Holmes? I hurried upstairs, as if I was truly afraid that if I were a step slower, my husband would be dead. Upstairs, I stood in the emergency exit and made a police call. At this moment, to outsiders, Jiang Mingyuan and I still appeared to be a loving couple with a happy family. If I were to follow my plan and take everything back, I feared he might stage an accident to harm me. Recalling how indifferent he had been to me in my previous life, I dared not gamble on any remaining goodness in his nature. Leaving this police record, he wouldn't find it so easy to fake another accident involving me. I turned on the recording function and aimed it at the door. Time ticked by second. My heartbeat was almost in sync with the ticking of the second hand. About 15 minutes later, the elevator let out a ding. The duty manager accompanied JC as he appeared. Jiang Mingyuan saw JC, looking completely unashamed. Is there some kind of misunderstanding? My subordinate and I are working overtime discussing tomorrow's project. Lin Qingyin's face turned pale with fright, but she also mustered her courage and chimed in, saying they were working overtime. Both handed over their IDs. The accompanying manager also awkwardly said, "Our hotel management is very strict, and we won't have any incidents involving H." The JC looked at the two of them and was about to turn and leave. I walked out step by step from the fire escape, holding my phone to record. The camera focused steadily on them. When Jiang Mingyuan saw me, his eyes nearly popped out of his head. His expression was a masterpiece. Shock, guilt, disbelief, then came rage and embarrassment, all emotions mixed together, contorting his face. "Su Manyun, how did you get here? Are you following me? Is this your doing?" He was about to charge over but was stopped by JC raising his hand. Lin Qingyin also saw me. A moment of surprise, followed by panic flashing in his eyes. Jiang Mingyuan quickly pulled Lin Qingyin behind him, shielding her completely. "If you have something to say, come at me, don't scare the young lady." I looked at the man who, in my previous life, I had taken care of for over 20 years, and I smiled. He was also capable of caring for and looking after others. I never wanted to speak to him again. I walked directly over to the trash can. Several 001 coins were lying there. "Comrade JC, apart from selling one's body, I don't know of any other industry where overtime work involves this. I wonder, is it him selling or her selling?" "Shut up." Jiang Mingyuan's temples throbbed with veins, his voice stern and harsh. "If you want to continue living, leave now." I spoke slowly and deliberately. "Jiang Mingyuan, where do you get the nerve to think I'd still want to continue living with you, you rotten vegetable? Is this evidence of your PC, or evidence of infidelity? You're framing me. I entered after JC, so I didn't have the chance to frame you. You're slandering me." Jiang Mingyuan turned the tables. "A young girl's reputation, ruined by your words. Comrade JC, this is a conflict between my wife and me, and has nothing to do with my assistant. Let her leave first, and I'll handle the rest." He was very insistent, and after saying that, he wanted to send Lin Qingyin away. Lin Qingyin appropriately let out a few whimpers in response, truly appearing as if she had a myriad of grievances. I stopped him. "Oh, you're right, that makes sense, Comrade JC, he's essentially saying I'm slandering him. You can't let me, the bad guy, off the hook. Request that these small raincoats be sent for inspection." After the test results came out, I went to their company and her parents' workplace to apologize in person. "No way," Lin Qingyin screamed. Jiang Mingyuan looked at me with deep eyes. "Su Manyun, when did you become so vicious?" "Hee, not letting you bleed is considered vicious. Just tell me what you want." It was only then that I saved the video and put down my phone. No problem. Let's see what you can offer." I arrived at the hotel lobby, sat and waited until 9 o'clock. and then headed to the Civil Affairs Bureau. Not a moment was wasted. They had more power than I did. If they got even a moment to catch their breath, they would surely strike back at me. I demanded all the savings and half the value of the house. He was afraid I would expose him, yet he was unwilling to part with so much of his fortune, so he tried to control me through Dong Dong, saying that the child needed a good living environment. I never expected that it was my sister who brought Dong Dong to the Civil Affairs Bureau. Who would have thought that last night Jiang Mingyuan had left Dong Dong with my sister to take care of. My sister helped him take care of Dong Dong. I help him take care of his mother. He goes to a hotel with his assistant to have fun. This is outrageous. What's even more outrageous is that Dong Dong unhesitatingly chose his dad. I'm going with dad and the pretty auntie. I don't want to go with the bad mommy. My sister was dumbfounded. Dong Dong, what are you talking about, sis? What's going on? It's nothing. Living towards death. What's old must go. What's new will come. I turned and walked into the Civil Affairs Bureau. Dong Dong had been happily watching his father, but when he saw that I didn't try to stop him, his little face crumpled up. You're really a bad mom. You don't want me at all. I looked up at him. From the moment you chose to have another mother, I am no longer your mother. I have no connection with you anymore. Dong Dong had never seen me so serious before, pursed my lips, my eyes red. Stepping out of the Civil Affairs Bureau, I felt refreshed. Jiang Mingyuan looked at me and asked, Su Manyun, you didn't want to be with me anymore, did you? I said lightly, why do you think I want to spend time with you? Because you're a giant baby, because you give me attitude, because you have a mother who needs me to serve her, or is it because you're unfaithful and grow cauliflower? Jiang Mingyuan's face turned green instantly. Su Manyun, you're so good at pretending. I don't believe you don't regret it. After saying that, he turned and left. First, he still wanted to overpower me in terms of momentum. I couldn't stand for that. I turned around and got into my sister's car, instructing her to spit at him as we slowly drove past. He cursed loudly. Are you sick or what? Yes, marrying you was a serious illness, but now that we're divorced, the illness is gone, completely cured. Isn't that infuriating? After saying this, she told her sister to step on the gas and drive off into the distance. I asked my sister to bring her husband and a few good friends to help me move. My sister looked at my face and cautiously said, Sis, if you want to cry, just cry, don't hurt yourself by holding it in. I laughed and said, I'm too happy to cry. Why would I? I have money now. No need to serve others. I'd wake up laughing in my dreams. Since I haven't found a house yet, I'll move my things to my sister's place first. It won't take more than 3 or 5 days before I find a house, but I don't want to keep any of these things in Zhang's house for even one more day. At 4 in the afternoon, I suddenly received a transfer notification on my phone. Only then did I remember leaving my bank card number at the hospital. I hurried to the hospital, ready to cancel all the information I had previously left there about myself. As soon as I stepped into the inpatient department corridor, Jiang Mingyuan spotted me. His face immediately wore that smug expression of, I knew you'd come back. He even deliberately tightened his embrace around Lin Qingyin beside him. Oh, weren't you going to find another place? Can't make it out there already. His mother lay in bed, already in a state of near death, but upon seeing me, she immediately became agitated with a guttural, ho ho, curse, you, ill-fated one. Her trembling fingers pointed at me as she mumbled curses. Lin Qingyin, on the other hand, leaned her head on Jiang Mingyuan's shoulder. Weren't you quite firm about the divorce? Did you come back in just half a day? Can't you live without a man? I nearly burst out laughing. I strolled leisurely to the nurse's station, took out my ID, and said, Hello, please cancel my registration information. Also, cancel the bank card I had linked for the fees. The nurse was stunned. Then who should we find? Who will pay? I don't know, you ask the patient. I have no relationship with her. Su Manyun, what do you mean by that? Jiang Mingyuan's face turned ashen. Literal meaning. I smiled. I was afraid you might still want to suck my blood, so I came specially to help you wean off me. At that moment, a strong stench wafted from the hospital room. The mother-in-law's face turned crimson. She had soiled the bed again. Jiang Mingyuan almost instinctively barked at me. What are you standing there for? Go clean it up. I crossed my arms and leaned against the wall, enjoying his sense of entitlement. It was only then that he realized we were divorced. He had gotten used to ordering me around and couldn't change the habit right away. Jiang Mingyuan turned his head to look at Lin Qingyin. Lin Qingyin's mocking smile froze on her delicate face. She looked at the messy sheets, her eyes unable to hide her disgust and reluctance. Mingyuan, she shrank back. Let's hire a nurse, the nurse reminded her. The patient has already driven away 3 nurses today. In my previous life, I devoted myself wholeheartedly to serving Jiang Mingyuan's mother, yet she was still dissatisfied. She believed that all caregivers in the world would treat her better than I did. Now, she has finally seen the truth. She disdains the caregivers, and the caregivers disdain her even more. No caregiver was willing to work for her anymore. This must be a problem I've spoiled her into. I smirked and looked at Jiang Mingyuan. Jiang Mingyuan was embarrassed in front of Lin Qingyin. Qingyin, he tried a mix of coaxing and pressuring. Lin Qingyin took 2 steps forward, then abruptly stopped. She's your mother, why should I do it? Can't you do it yourself? How can I, a big man, do it? His mother, how can a man do such a servant's job? She waved her hand and said, I won't do it either. I smiled at Jiang Mingyuan's mother and said, see, with me, the harbinger of bad luck. Gone, your family's lucky star has arrived, congratulations. Hearing this, my mother-in-law trembled with anger and mumbled at me. Get out, I replied. Alrighty, even if you wanted me to stay, I wouldn't. I turned and walked away. A commotion immediately erupted behind me. You little slut, you seduced Mingyuan and now you dare to give me attitude. Who are you calling old and worthless? Lin Qingyin's pent-up anger and disgust exploded. Do you really think you're the Empress Dowager? Disgusting. Jiang Mingyuan was caught between 2 fires. Pleasing neither side, his mother screeched in anger. And Lin Qingyin retorted sharply. Jiang Mingyuan finally lost his patience. Su Manyun can do it, why can't you? The commotion suddenly fell silent. After a while, Lin Qingyin spoke with a trembling voice. Jiang Mingyuan, if you like Su Manyun, go find her. Stop coming to me. Tisk tsk. Seeing this mess on the ground, the last bit of resentment in my heart dissipated. Lin Qingyin stomped past me in a few quick steps. Don't get cocky, he snarled. Turning back, I shrugged. Was I being cocky? Was I? It seems I was. Ha! Lin Qingyin looked as if she was about to faint from anger, her face turning purple. I remembered something and turned back toward the ward. Lin Qingyin saw me heading back and panicked, stepping in front of me. Su Manyun, you think you can take advantage now that I'm leaving, don't you? You're divorced, so why are you still so shameless going after your ex-husband? Are you afraid no one will want you as a second-hand item? Smack, smack, I slapped him across both cheeks. In quick succession. I haven't even called you shameless, yet you dare spew filth in front of me. Who do you think you are, spoiling your bad habits? Try cursing again if you dare. Lin Qingyin was struck dumb, covering her face and saying, you dare hit me? What's there to be afraid of? Hitting you is like hitting a chicken. After saying that, I entered the ward. Jiang Mingyuan was frowning and scolding his mother. What are you making a fuss about? You can drive away 3 nurses in a single day. They're not even as good as Su Manyun. I'm paying them so much. What's wrong with scolding them a few times? It was utterly heart-wrenching to hear. If it weren't for my rebirth, I'd still be here, a free yet pathetic nanny. At that moment, the old lady looked at me with an air of supreme satisfaction as I entered the room. What do you think? Can't do without Mingyuan now, can you? Clean it up for me right now, or I'll never let Mingyuan take you back. Jiang Mingyuan also had a smile at the corner of his mouth. Su Manyun, you were so arrogant when you got divorced. Have you regretted it so soon? Let's wait until my mother is discharged from the hospital. Lin Qingyin stood at the door. Jiang Mingyuan, what do you mean by this? Jiang Mingyuan gave her a meaningful look. Lin Qingyin immediately understood and pretended to sob as she made to leave. Their plan was to have me take care of his mother again so they could enjoy their couple's life. I could hardly keep from laughing. I said, Jiang Mingyuan, do you think you're some kind of holy flesh that everyone wants? You're just a dung beetle in clothes. Don't get all sentimental over there. The hospital deducted another medical fee from my card this afternoon, a total of 3,220 yuan. Will you transfer the money or pay in cash? All 3 were dumbfounded. You, Jiang Mingyuan finally managed to speak after a long pause. Su Manyun, you're something else. Just wait until you regret this. Gentlemen, keep dreaming. I pocketed the money, turned around, and walked away with a light step. I contacted my mentor to see if I could restart my career design. My mentor was very happy. I can see the spirit in your eyes, and that's enough. There's an urgent project here. The client is difficult to deal with, but I think you can handle it. Try it, and regain your touch and confidence. I worked in my mentor's studio. I worked harder than anyone else. I arrived earlier and left later. After all, I know how hard-earned this opportunity is. My mentor was also very pleased with my design. With the experiences of 2 lifetimes, my designs often resonate deeply with customers. Only then did I realize that my greatest failure in my previous life was not fighting for my own life. That self-devaluation. My life is on track. getting better and better. As for Jiang Mingyuan, he married Lin Qingyin. Because Lin Qingyin was pregnant, this must be true love. They dreamed of a better life with promotions and raises. At the crucial moment of his promotion, I sent an email to his competitor. It contained the leverage Jiang Mingyuan wanted. Jiang Mingyuan was eventually fired from the company, without knowing it was my doing. After Dong Dong got his children's watch, he would often call me. At first, he angrily declared that I was a bad mom, and that he now had a beautiful new mom. Later, he stopped mentioning the new mom. He asked if I could pick him up. It was only then that I realized we hadn't seen each other for over half a year. I said lightly, "Your guardianship is with your father, I can't come to get you." He pitifully said, "Mom, are you really abandoning me? What I said before about a beautiful mom being good was just to make you stop worrying about me so much. Not that I didn't really want a mom." My heart softened, but remembering his coldness in my past life, I snapped back to reality. He only didn't get what he wanted from his beautiful mother, so he thought of me, his unlucky mother. I told him legally I'm still your mother, but that's all. Dong Dong cried and hung up the phone. Year later, at the kindergarten gate, I was waiting for my young nephew to finish school. He was especially clingy with me. As soon as he came out of the school gate, his eyes lit up and he rushed over, grabbing my hand and eagerly showing off to his friends. "Look, this is my auntie." That expression, as if he had just presented the most remarkable treasure in the world, was filled with pride on his little face. I chuckled and crouched down to wipe the sweat from his forehead. Suddenly, he leaned in and, smack, his soft little lips planted a kiss on my forehead. The warm sensation made me momentarily lose my train of thought. Suddenly, I remembered the previous life when I was seriously ill and lying in the hospital. He drove through the night to rush over, almost getting into a car accident. He roared outside the emergency room, saying to use his money to hire the best doctors, but Jiang Mingyuan and Dong Dong stopped him. The signing authority wasn't in his hands, so he couldn't do anything. How laughable. Sometimes, it's not the ones who love you that decide your fate. "Auntie, what are you thinking about?" he asked me softly. I kissed him back. "Come, Auntie will buy you something delicious." I picked him up and went to the supermarket. To my surprise, I saw Jiang Mingyuan among the crowd of elderly people lining up for free eggs. Half of his hair had turned white, and he was jostling with others. When he saw me, he froze. The egg in my hand fell to the ground, splat, smashing into pieces. I pushed the shopping cart straight past him. Inside the cart were fresh milk and steaks I had bought for my little nephew. "Man Yun," he called from behind. I regret it, really. I couldn't bear to waste even the strength to turn back for him. "Garbage belongs in the trash can." As I exited the supermarket and was about to open the car door, a small, skinny figure suddenly rushed over and clung to my leg. "Mommy," looking down, I saw it was Dong Dong. His clothes were so dirty they had lost their original color, fresh bruises on his arms, and his little face was so thin it seemed to have lost its shape. Only those eyes, staring at me intently, like a little dog left by the roadside. "Mom, I saw you holding him at the kindergarten gate. Do you really not want me anymore?" My heart felt as if it had been twisted cruelly, but I gently pushed his hand away. "Dong Dong, I have no right to take you with me." His eyes instantly reddened, and after glancing at the little nephew in my arms, he lowered his head. In that moment when he bowed his head, I saw a long scar on the back of his neck. I immediately called the police. When I arrived with the police, I almost thought I had gone to the wrong place. The room reeked of decay, seeping out from the crack under Zhang's mother's tightly closed door. When the door opened, Zhang's mother lay face down on the bed, covered in bedsores. The mattress beneath her was dark yellow and hardened, stuck to her festering flesh. She was so thin that only a skeleton remained, her breath barely perceptible. Hearing the commotion, she struggled to speak. "Hungry, give me something to eat." Originally, Lin Qingyin was annoyed by her constant need to relieve herself and only gave her one bowl of thin porridge a day. The police called an ambulance. As the stretcher passed me, she suddenly recognized me. Now dressed in my finest, she desperately grabbed my wrist, and in her cloudy eyes, an astonishing hatred flared. "You, how dare you not serve me, you slut." In my previous life, I served her wholeheartedly, and she hated me. In this life, I stay out of it, yet she still hates me. Clearly, her situation has nothing to do with me, but in both her lives, the ones she should hate, she doesn't hate. The only one she hates is me. Let me help her figure it out. I leaned down and softly asked her, "Aren't you most fond of your son's concubine, the third one? You got your wish and made her your new daughter-in-law. Is she serving you comfortably?" She grabbed my hand, then suddenly let go. Her entire body stiffly collapsed onto the stretcher, her lips trembling, yet no sound came out. She didn't last 2 days in the hospital before she died. Later, Jiang Mingyuan and Lin Qingyin were imprisoned for abuse. The custody of Dong Dong has returned to me. He clutched tightly to the corner of my clothes and followed me home. While bathing, the hot water washed over the wounds on his back, causing him to tremble in pain, yet he bit his lips and did not cry. As I applied medicine to him, he suddenly asked very softly, "Mom, do you still love me?" I didn't answer. On the weekend, I took my little nephew to the amusement park, and Dong Dong followed silently. When my nephew wanted to be held, I smiled and lifted him high. When my nephew wanted ice cream, I bought one and we shared it together. Dong Dong followed quietly behind, watching silently. On the way home, he finally couldn't hold back anymore, his eyes red as he asked me, "Mom, can't you love me like that too?" I stopped and looked at him. "Dong Dong, if someone treats you with disdain, hurts you, and abandons you, would you still love her?" Tears rolled down his face in big drops. "No." "Then why do you expect Mom to still love you like that?" "Love is mutual. No one has to unconditionally love another person, not even if she's your mother. Mom is also human." He sobbed, gasping for breath. "I was wrong, Mom, I really know. I was wrong." Dong Dong is indeed changing. He has learned to say, "Thank you," and "I'm sorry." He cares about me and also about those around him. I think, if he grows up to be someone who understands respect and love, that would be an unexpected joy for me. If I can't, then raising him until he's 18 should be considered as having done my duty. One ordinary afternoon, I had the same dream again. In the dream, I was back on the day when my mother-in-law had a stroke, but I no longer felt afraid. I have gained newfound strength. Even if I fall into the dust, I will bloom into a flower within it. After hearing